Everyone, I'm Togom Kwanes Kaluva from the CRL Rights Commission. I think for you, the Minister, the question for us will be, how do you harness the skills in the rural areas, especially around women? Because, you know, the skills they have are mainly traditional. For instance, in terms of beadwork, traditional clothes. And those women, they don't have anything, as you were saying, that opportunities in rural areas are very scarce. So I would like to know what your department intends to do about these highly skilled women who are in the middle of nowhere. You see their skills when there are events like the reed dance and other traditional festivals, highly skilled, and I'm glad that the other people like the EU and other ambassadors, how do you export the products that they produce? But before you export them, you need to build them first. So they're not the type of people who will come to these types of meetings or know where to go to. If I'm stuck in the middle of a village somewhere and this is the only skill I have, the assistants will have to come to me. And specifically for MultiChoice, we would like to find out what is your response to your platform being used by religious leaders who exploit people using your platform, who sell products and promise people that these products will do all sorts of things that we all know won't happen. But you are the gateway to their so-called market. So what is it that you as MultiChoice are willing to do in order for you to help stop the exploitation of people who are destitute and desperate when your platform is being used to access those people?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The gentleman in front, John.
Thank you very much, Program Director. My name is Dr. George Tsibane from Black Business Council, as well as the Black Business Council in the built environment and chairing the subcommittee on water and sanitation. Very important to me is that I've attended, I very much appreciating the Honorable Minister, for a summit on water and sanitation very recently. What is very clear to me is that water and sanitation, energy, agriculture, land, and technology and health are mega nexus that we need to work on. But the critical question that we need to unblock is the issue of water licensing, which is affecting emerging farmers, particular black farmers. And very importantly, recently we were in the Western Cape. As we are saying that Western Cape is, some people think is an island in Africa. And this is a tip of Africa anyway. So basically we are working with emerging SMEs there as Black Business Council to deal with issues of SMEs and priorities around that. What we need from the ministry is the focus around water and sanitation, and secondly, licensing of water, because the ownership of the issue of land and ownership of licensing is still resting with the past. And that is a challenge that is affecting the World Developmental State objective, as the SG was saying yesterday. So we're pleading with you on that. And coming to MultiChoice, I was whispering to Her Excellency here, Cecil Julien, that MultiChoice SMEs, you find them in each corner, in each street, in every township in the country. I think we need to give an applause to a South African company that has done that very well. However, the most important thing is that we are working to change, because water constraint, climate change has arrived and is going to affect our business. We need water awareness in the country and knowledge. So we need to use your platform as Black Business Council in the built environment to deal with this, we have conceptualized a very detailed seminars around that. And we have launched them in the JSE. Most people said, why are you crazy looking at JSE? The 3% of multi-shares that are there have to be increased. That is what the outcome of the small business department is looking at. So basically, we want to use your platform. Can you take that challenge?
Good, thank you very much. The minister, we're going to have to excuse the minister very shortly.
But the CEO of CEDA is here, which will continue with it. So, Minister, if you want to maybe just take 1 or 2 points and then hand over. And we'll come around for another round just now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Darrell. I'm just going to step out to do interviews. I'll be back. I'm not leaving. Yes, the issue of innovation, I can't agree with you more. Part of the reasons why we are working together with the Department of Science and Technology, very closely working with the Minister of Science and Technology, and part of the reason why also, as I was speaking, I said the ministers who've been given the responsibility to look at supporting SMMEs at that level through this fund that will have to be set up. It's myself, the Minister of Finance, as well as the Minister of Science and Technology. It is because of the experience that we're seeing on the ground and really responding to what you are saying. And I must really congratulate you, really, because I've known you for forever. And I know long before I became a Minister of Small Business Development, when I was still in the Department of Foreign Affairs in the early 200s, I used to see you in many of the African countries trying to knock on doors, and you kept on repeating to me, even at that time, that why is it that one would go and get the support and interest outside of South Africa? I think for me, it also was, to that large extent, if I can recall back to it, it wasn't also an issue of racism, because many a times I remember we had long discussions about how people didn't even think that you would be in that space. Worst of all, being a woman, that was even making it much more difficult. So I fully agree with you with the issue of ensuring that we support more and more people who are innovative, because what is entrepreneurship about? Entrepreneurship is about innovation. You've got to be able to produce something that people are going to appreciate and pop out of their pockets for, because you're not going to produce something that is meaningless to anybody else. And so I do believe that this coordinated approach by my department, the Department of Science and Technology, as well as the Department of Trade and Industry, really, I think the weakness here in the system has been our not being able to coordinate all these things and making people run from one place to the other, which also responds to your issue here. We do need this one-stop shop that we are trying to work on, and hopefully we've started a few. I think Mandisa will respond to the few that we already have, because we can see the progress on that already. And also this speaks to the consolidated approach by the different government departments, so that people don't do the running up and down. I think, Mandisa, you can respond to that because at 9:30 I have to run out to do an interview. As for what the program, what the department is doing in as far as protecting our small and medium enterprises, including the informal businesses, by the way, because they also are being really under stress and strain in the townships where, one, the infrastructure development is very poor. Two, even the regulatory environment there makes it very difficult for them. Three, there's not even proper registration of the businesses that are operating there. Hence, you find that there's a lot of foreign-owned businesses, which we are working on a program now of registration. Because unless you know who is where, then it becomes very difficult for you to think of the interventions. I must say to you, there is interministerial. There's an interministerial plan. We bring Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of Finance, Minister myself, DTI, and a number of us ministers. We have now come together to say this cannot be a one ministry approach in dealing with it. We need all the ministers in one, and this interministerial committee has really done a lot of work. In fact, just yesterday, I was told by the DG in the president, not in the presidency, in the monitoring and evaluation, that they want to move very fast with this whole issue of the registration of foreign nationals. I know that the issue of designating the businesses as salons and others only to South Africans, sometimes it creates a bit of controversy, and some people say, no, but then we are being discriminatory about it. But the bottom line is that as a department, we are also looking at the fact that none of our own people can go to neighboring country and begin to set that up. We need to be conscious of our own national interests, while at the same time respecting the human rights and all that. And we do need to have put plans in place which are not going to set people against excuse me, against each other. I do fully agree that we need to focus on that, because many of our people on the ground, I mean, my constituency is Welkom. The areas which I visit in the town, I'm telling you, all the salons have been taken over. And so our people don't have the opportunity. And this is a two-way process. One is about ensuring that we develop something that the world would not accuse us of being very discriminatory and causing conflict even amongst our communities, but we do need to respond to this. As a department, we've made it very clear we do need to respond to it, and I'm sure in the near future. And also we have a relationship already existing with specific organizations of those, we've got different organizations that we are working with, those that own salons, that own spaza shops, that we're trying to engage with them so that we can begin to focus, we can work together on this one, so it doesn't become just a government-owned, it's only a government program. I'm going to quickly really request that Mandisa deals with some of the programs that we have by the department in responding to upskilling our people. But before I do that, we do have a program that is called National Upliftment Strategy. That one is focusing on two folds. One is about empowering people who are in the informal sector by training them. So far, we've trained almost we're almost on 3,000, which is a drop in the ocean if we look at the 7,000, yeah. If we look at the entire country, we need to do a lot of training. And that program is one which we are trying to also ensure that it happens through the economic development offices. The ones that we have trained so far, we've trained them on the management of their business, identifying the relevant business in the area. We've trained them on the basics of doing business, but we've moved a step further. We've also given them implements of trade. So those who are in salons, we give them the hair dryers and other things. Those who are having the spaza shops, we try and assist them with the refrigerators. We try to assist them with the things that they need themselves. But this program is really, really very small, and it was stalled to a degree because we wanted to work with the retail sector and the retail sector, because again, on our own, we are not able to do that. If I can just be excused a bit to go do the interview and come back. Mandisa, you take a few questions.
Good morning to everybody, and then just continuing where the minister left, I think I can just mention a few programs speaking to some of the questions that have been raised. I think combining two contributors from the health sector, I think it was Mr. Sizani and the lady at the front here from Telemed Works, talking about innovation. Yes, I can agree fully with the need for us to strengthen our efforts in terms of support to R&D work, but much is being done already. Adding to the numbers that Minister shared with us, as CEDA, we are already supporting about 57 incubators nationally. And this is one of the areas that we have consciously given focus on, and we are intending to invest even deeper in this area. I think it is not by chance, as an example, that we have some of the diplomatic corps around Rome. This program is one of the programs that we are working with foreign or multinational companies, as well as our diplomatic corps in South Africa. We have been to Denmark, we have been to France, we have arrangements. One of the incubators that we have recently launched that is actually having a number of startups as innovators and accelerators in the medical space. It's one that is being supported in partnership with our French partners, the French Tech Lab in Cape Town. But one of the things that we are doing through this program is to get into the universities in terms of following the research output of the universities, following the prototype products that are coming out of university research work, and assisting the process of commercializing those. But greatly, we realize that this is an area that requires expertise in terms of sector knowledge. And this is the area through which we are collaborating and seeking more collaborations with the private sector. I think on that note, I must be quick to say partnerships that we seek from the private sector are partnerships that give us sector knowledge. So when we are knocking at your doors for partnership in terms of working with the private sector on enterprise and supplier development initiatives, we want to build on the technical knowledge that is in the private sector to combine with our initiatives that we are embarking on as government. So with the business core that is here, I am just throwing an invitation to say, let us not fragment our initiatives, let us collaborate, and on our side, we want your expertise. But going further on some of the programs, I want to say for those that are in the education field here, the other area that we are focusing on is entrepreneurship at schools. And there we have already started to work with a number of schools. Recently, we were having awards out of a program that we are working on with Prime Media, Prime Stars, where we are going into schools, especially schools in rural areas and in townships, just to make sure that we take the level of entrepreneurial activity in South Africa to another level by starting introducing entrepreneurship at schools level. To touch on this, we are working closely with the TVETs as well. We are trying to connect with the technical skills that are coming out of the TVETs. And whilst the learners are in that place of learning, we bring in the entrepreneurial flair so that by the time they graduate, they are ready as job seekers if they want to do that, but they are equally ready as job creators. Again, I must indicate that one of the things that we are focusing on is the issue of coordination. Just to touch on a few, answering some of the questions that have been raised, is to say, as the Department of Small Business Development, we are already making extensive investment in the issue of making sure there is a central repository where entrepreneurs can go into and find as much information about support services that are out there. We are engaging various players at the moment, trying to set up this portal. And once more, I am throwing an invitation to those that are in the ICT sector to say you are working on this, come, give us ideas, appraise what we are already doing. We have touched on some of the role players in the ICT sector, but if you are here and you are in that sector, we are welcoming you to come and appraise what we are doing and give us more ideas. But finally, to allow more questions to come, I think I should touch as well on the issue of the red tape reduction, to say, again, this is an area that has been part of our agenda as government at large, to say, how do we make business, the business environment conducive for small enterprises in particular, and making sure that we break the chain and we cut the chain shorter in terms of doing business in South Africa. Again, here we are having various initiatives, and this is one of the areas that is attended to in our legislation, as Minister spoke to a process currently in place that is reviewing the Small Business Act.
Thank you, Mandisa. Right, we'll take another round, a short round, and then we're going to have to, we are starting to run out of time. So I've acknowledged the lady there that wanted to steal the mic just now. So we'll do you, and then we'll take those two hands in, and then we're finished.
Thank you, convener. I just took an opportunity because she was just next to me.
Like a real business person.
Thank you. My name is Cindy Shabalala. I'm the Group COO for Edison Power and the Treasurer General for Black Business Council. My colleague has already addressed me on the issue of township economy and also the issues of malls in the townships. But mine will be specifically focusing on bricks. We had an extensive discussion with the minister. Mandisa, I hope you'll be our spokesperson on this matter. We want to see BRICS, South Africa women participating. I know the Russian women are very strong and they're coming very strong on us. But from the South African perspective, we don't see South African women participating in BRICS. And we have spoken to the minister, and the minister is addressing that matter, is to actually remind her that we are ready. We want to really see women in BRICS participating, most particularly the South African women. Thank you, convener.
Right, we'll move to the table next to you.
Thank you very much, Minister in absentia. I am Franz Mwekesi from Santaco. Let me just briefly, without paying another 10,000, okay?
Sure.
Just briefly to introduce the conglomerate, one of the GDP booster of this country is the taxi industry in South Africa. We are currently having 189,000 operators in the country with a fleet of 447,720. When you take the value of those fleet is almost 1 trillion that all operators in South Africa are owing to all motor vehicle agents. Now, as an industry, we are not benefiting anything, but we are using 25 million petrol per day in this country. Petrol has gone up. We are not complaining. And we won't complain because we know that money that is being generated is much more. Now, in a year, we are using 6.7 billion of tires, the value in this country. Now, I'm saying this because it is important that the transport cooperative that are within the taxi industry must be supported by the department, because the service level system that the industry is giving to these operators is much more immense, and it is, equivalent to the biggest value that we can have in the country. Now, my question to the department is, we have started with a project in Mpumalanga. Shortly we have launched all the 3 ties of cooperative levels in Mpumalanga. And we don't see any way where the department is mentioning that. And what is the involvement of the department in terms of developing this transport cooperative in the country? Number 2 question is the challenges that we are facing as the transport cooperatives within the department. We are one of the cooperatives that is now equals to the farming because of our massiveness. So we are asking that the department, are you recognizing this cooperative, or have you heard about it? And what is your involvement towards the upliftment of this sector? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to the last question, the gentleman with the, is it a mauve shirt? And thank you very much for the 10,000 Rand contribution, by the way.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Mishak Ndebele. I'm a lecturer at Wits School of Education. And I'm coming from the angle of education. I'm not a businessman as such. But I've been excited, really, by the Minister's reference to working with the Department of Agriculture. And at the same time, there is a gentleman who spoke earlier on about the issue of land. And my real concern here as an educator is that our young people, yes, there is land, but our young people do not have the skills to work on that land. And my worry throughout the years has been that our system of education does not put priority or give priority to agriculture. Now, that could be happening, but I'm not aware. I'm not aware. And my worry here, Chair, is that we have a curriculum that emphasizes many other things, yes, but those things do not seem to empower our young people, especially the rural folk, with so much land in South Africa. So I was going to ask that this department works very closely with the Department of Education, and it works to introduce agriculture as a very important component in our school curriculum. Now, that would actually cascade into maybe teacher education, teachers being trained in the agricultural field. So my real interest really here is emphasis on agriculture and maybe the establishment of agricultural colleges, especially emphasis on agriculture in our TVET colleges.
Thank you very much, Mandisa. Oh, sorry.
Perhaps before I respond to these contributions, let me just preface my response by taking a quote that I think is very relevant given where we are. This is a quote from the former and the late President Mandela, when he says, should we fail to make partnerships for development which can eradicate the social ills and can help us and our communities gain economic breakthrough, life will judge us harshly. On this background, I think I was prompted to recall this quote because of the nature of the questions. Firstly, I must say that on the question on township economy, which has been revisited, currently, we are, as the department, looking at this with great interest. As a result, in the speech that was shared with us by the minister, she touched on the work that we are doing. Maybe let me just filter down from her speech to say, as the department and as CEDA, we have now made a conscious decision that says, in the work that we are doing, we want to make sure that we participate fully and actively in the IDP processes of the municipalities. We want to make sure that we participate fully in capacitation around the issues of entrepreneurship and enterprise development, looking at the local sphere of government. We have taken a conscious decision that says, as CEDA, we will not be selfish with our tools and instruments that are tools and instruments that seek to assist the process of supporting small enterprises. At this point in time, we are working heavily to make sure that we come up with a program that will support the LED structures of the municipalities to a point that what we do in our network of small enterprise development agency can be done in the local sphere of government. And I think we have as well taken a conscious decision to say in townships, we want to support the process of revitalizing capacitation of the structures. I'll make an example, chambers of commerce. We've had a program that was looking into chamber support program, but we want to make sure that instead of focusing on that program as support instrument to one or two chambers, we can be able to expand that. In our conversations where we are knocking into private sector space, tapping on ESD facilities, we are looking at this area as one of the areas that should be heavily supported. We are working with the private sector in terms of setting up what we call enterprise support hubs. We've seen some of these hubs being supported by places like, I know MTN does have some incubators of some kind, but we've been working as an example with Transnet as well. I know we have been as well working with other private sector companies, especially in the mining industry. So again, this is one of the areas where I'm saying join us in what we are already doing. As government, the best we can do is to develop models, and it is our wish that those that have financial muscle, they take up this model and help us to expand. Again, talking to the BRICS question, touching on the women and what is the aspiration there, I think we are connecting with you. If I can make by an example, I think a week and a half ago, I was sitting with someone from the Russian embassy where we were trying to begin to talk to say, what will be the program for small enterprises when BRICS Summit comes here? And we are already talking to something in line with the question that was posed to say, soon enough, we must begin to make sure that there is a program following one of the programs that we already have as CEDA, which we call Pitch and Prepare, where we are showcasing small enterprises, either to funders or either to investors of different kinds, where we are saying we will use the same model to make sure that there is a parallel program that is focusing on small enterprises. And key to that will be to showcase our small enterprises to the contingents that will be here attending the BRICS Summit, as we are aware that those that will be coming from the BRICS partners, they will be coming with their investors, they will be coming with their corporates. And I think lastly, I could say we are also setting up different kinds of roundtables with the private sector, roundtables with the academia, roundtables with the embassies, making sure that we are entrenching the agenda of enterprise development in corporate fields, in our global partnership space, as well as in places of learning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mandisa, for standing in. The Minister said she is going to be back shortly, but we have to unfortunately wrap up this formal section. But the Minister will be at the exhibition area and that very shortly again, and then we can continue the discussion in a more informal basis. Before we do that, I would like to ask Calvo again to come and give us his impressions and do the vote of thanks. Calvo, over to you.
Thanks, Darrell. Ladies and gentlemen, we have noted the comments that have been made, and I think as both business and government, we have a responsibility to ensure that the partnership between business and government continue to thrive, especially in the area of small business development. I've taken note of the comments that came from the BBC. I think we have been continuously engaged. We just happen not to have found the time within our diaries to have that roundtable discussion as to whether we can do more in terms of increasing our spend on SMMEs. Of course, yes. And we are more than happy to have an engagement with you to see what opportunities are there for us to increase our spend on SMMEs going forward. Again, Darrell, thank you very much to the PBF and to the African National Congress for allowing us to have the opportunity to have a discussion of this kind. It gives us great pleasure when we get inputs from other business people as to what we can do as big business to be able to foster economic growth in the country, especially in light of the challenges that we face of unemployment, inequality, and so forth. And lastly, I would like to thank Minister Zulu for having shared the stage with us, and we believe that the discussion are not going just to end now. We'll continue to have discussions going forward as the conference continues. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.